This channel is made possible by viewers like you. My viewers, subscribers, and patrons greatly help to keep this channel going. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for all of you. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any uploads. And if you'd like to go the extra mile, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you'll get access to what I'm working on, previews of upcoming content, and even early videos, along with other tier options for those that are interested. Thank you, and now on to the video. This year I had the pleasure of diving into one of Sony's best mascots, and honestly one that I would consider underrated and overlooked, but it honestly is one that feels more self-inflicted by Sony. They have a great set of characters and a rich history of those characters and their respective games. Sony sort of forgets to prop up some of its biggest characters sometime, in favor of just pushing forward with new ones. Personally, I think they should do a mixture of both. Try to provide new things to their player base while also remembering where they came from. I honestly could care less about many of their new franchises and characters, but their older games, I love a lot of that stuff. And speaking of this, I played the original Sly Cooper when it received its HD collection set on the PS3. This was such a great time too because it felt like Sony was just popping off many of these, allowing for fun collections and improving those frame rates and resolutions for players to enjoy. This was my first exposure with Sly, and honestly after playing the first game, I completely understand why the fanbase loves it. Sly really just has it all. You want fun gameplay? It has it. You want an enjoyable cast of characters along with engaging cutscenes with a well done story? It has that as well. Presentation and music are all top tier stuff. There's a reason why Sucker Punch has a legacy that is so strong. It's because they are very, very talented. With all of that being said, I never actually played Sly 2. For whatever reason, while I loved the first game and appreciated the quality here, I never actually dove into the second. In hindsight, I should have played it. From the fanbase, I only heard that the series got better with its 2 sequels, which is honestly impressive considering the high quality the first game starts out on. So even after this, just playing the opening of 2, I was impressed, and oddly enough, I kinda already fell in love with this game, and I really hadn't got into it outside of some of the gameplay in the beginning. Sometimes a great introduction is all you need. I have spoken about this before, but a game's opening moments are in many cases their most important, especially as the market continues to be more and more flooded with everything from triple, mid-tier, and even various indie projects. So starting out right could be life or death for your game, and that was easily the first thing that stood out to me with Sly 1. You boot it up, get a quick stylish cutscene of a mysterious figure leaping off of rooftops in the night. Who is this character and what is he after? Then you hit start, and instead of some long-winded cutscene, you get something brief and are essentially then thrown right into it. You are playing it. No long-winded tutorial, just gameplay and story, all with a purpose, and provides a space where the player can get familiar with the stuff that they want to. Nothing is really forced. Then you get a fun set of thief-like movie moments. You are dodging lasers and alarms, stealing some secret documents, and then chased by law enforcement. Finish it all off with those Sly-like cutscenes that still represent the very best within the industry today. You get some banter with Bentley along with some really good chemistry with Sly and Carmelita. There's a playfulness to the entire thing. It sucks you in, hooks the player, and now you're locked in and only want to keep playing it. 1 really nails this. It's so impressive playing this again and being like, I love how quickly the game just gives you control. It felt like the developers were like, how do we deliver our story and get the player actually playing our game in the most efficient and well presented way possible? And then they were able to achieve it, even down to seeing the credits pop up as you are playing the opening. It doesn't waste your time, it respects it. So like I said, this was my first time playing Sly 2, so here right now are my very raw impressions from just the introduction, and wow, what an effective opening. There are many similarities, especially in flow, but it presents stuff in a new way while also having the entire thing drip with style. The first game was humorous, and even this aspect of the game is improved upon with 2 being really funny, and have some comical, memorable moments just in its opening. All levels were at night in the first, with this one being in the evening. The endings to both the first game and the second game with its introduction has this explosive finish that parallels each other. I just love how like in 1, 2 just starts. The game opens with a short cutscene and then you are at the main menu, and instead of the camera panning around Sly, here we have something more dynamic as Sly is sneaking around the room. I also love his changed default walking animation. Once you hit start a new game, you are in, no loading. It's like boom, right to the point. Plus, even in this simple area, you get reacquainted with the controls and figure out how to do all of that stuff. The tutorial here is really minimal, with everything just feeling more organic and having this enjoyable flow. I really love seeing our trio in the field together, all contributing with their different skill sets. Murray seems to have been given a confidence boost too, and they weave humor with him that is great as well. The many breakable objects returns too, and this was always a nice touch from the first as well. Carmelita makes a surprise and expected entrance, with that playful banter also coming back with Sly. It's an opening that gives the player control, it reminds us why we love Sly and his crew, along with allowing the player to enjoy some simple yet very fun gameplay. Honestly, both of these games are great examples of how you do it. Get the player invested in the experience right from the start. I was hooked, I wanted more. I felt like I instantly fell in love with the sequel, plus those delightful cutscenes return as well.
Carmelita's just as angry as ever. She's really quite lovely when she's angry. And that Constable Neela, was a reference to the claw game just a slip of the tongue, or an intentional clue? Either way, it's her only lead on the missing clockwork part.
Sly is something that just continues to impress me as I press on with the series. When I replayed the first one this year, it was the first time I had played it in years, and you know a game has aged really well when you play it now, and it makes you greatly miss and appreciate that period in gaming. Because like a lot of stuff within this medium now, you just don't get games like this anymore, especially from the AAA space. And honestly, we could use some more colorful action platformers over games trying to be Oscar stories with pretentious or preachy writing. Sometimes simple is just better when it comes to the narrative, which is another area that Sly excels at. Even the graphics is something that at the time were cool and great because of that cell shading, and it's something that has aged a lot better even now from games from the past. Going back to Sly continues to impress. When I started playing the first game again this year, just from its introduction, I was impressed. I love when a game quickly gets the player into the gameplay, allowing them to have some form of control, and you know what? Actually playing the game. When this is done with a lot of style, interweaved with excellent presentation, and a narrative you're interested in, with a cast you want to see more of. When you have all of this, it just comes close to perfect, and you cannot help but smile. So the first game continues to impress even today, years later after coming out. The second game starts off with a level of confidence that pretty much reassures the player that we are in good hands, and this entire road ahead is going to feel like a real treat. It may seem silly to praise a game just for its intro, but bad intros can really hurt a game, and a lot of players can just dismiss the game altogether from something like that. But when you have something here like with Sly 1, and then continues to impress with Sly 2, I couldn't help but talk about it. I was compelled to. The opening minutes of Sly 2 ups and adds more to the experience than what we had in 1, and it's one of those rare things where 1 was great, and now 2 seems to be even better. You want this for your sequels, but it doesn't always happen. So when you do, you really need to take a step back and fully appreciate it. So yes, from how these introductions are done, we just don't see stuff like this anymore, and as such, this remains as one of the gems from the past that I will continue to praise and think about. What are your thoughts on Sly 1 or even 2? What do you think about their introductions? Let me know all of this in the comments down below. If you're interested in being notified of new videos, please hit the subscribe button and bell. And if you would like to support the channel and get early access to content, please check out my Patreon. All of the links will be at the end of this video and within the description. And thank you very much for watching.